So thank you very, very much for welcoming me tonight to your community. It really is an honor. So my name is, as said before, Rabbi Greg Weitzman, and I do come from Congregation Road of Shalom in New York City on the Upper West Side. And when Dr. Ali asked if I would join him tonight, never did I imagine the world that we would be living in. What would the world look like within our religious communities and outside of them? It is obvious to many of us now that we need each other more than ever. In partnership, in dialogue, there is so much that our communities can do together. Now, I am often asked, what is the greatest teaching that Judaism has to offer? If you had to guess, what do you think it would be? The mandate to observe Shabbat, the moment that we received the Ten Commandments at Sinai. If there is one verse that best exemplifies the project of living in holy service to the divine, what would it be? Now, according to Rabbi Akiva, one of the greatest sages of our tradition, the greatest principle is a verse found in the center of the Torah, the book of Leviticus, in the center portion of the book of Leviticus. Ve'ahavta l'reyecha kamocha. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Not individual acts of piety, not religious service, but loving your neighbor. That is what is at the core of Judaism. Giving love, real love, isn't necessarily easy. Love invites us to stretch ourselves, to push past the narrow boundaries of the self, to enter into communion with each other, to communicate with each other. When we do this action is not merely about helping one another. To love another is more than that. It is a way that we can actually, truly connect. The true relationships that are meaningful within our lives are those with mutual love and respect. The give and take may be physical, emotional, intellectual, or a combination of all of them. But without giving from ourselves, no relationship can endure. Indeed, this is a great principle, but it is not the only one. Rabbi Akiva had a friend, Ben Azai, also a great scholar and a teacher, who pushed his thinking even further, suggesting that the greatest principle is found in a much less often cited verse. The words, Zeh Sefer Toldot Adam. This is the book of the chronologies of Adam. In the day that God created humans, God made humans in the image of God. For Ben Azai, the most important principle in our most important book is a reminder that our responsibility lies not only with our neighbor, whether that's our family, those within our close geographic location, or those who share our faith or our culture, but all of us are created in the divine image. So we are all in need to take a step together in obligation of each other. Now, I had a professor when I was a student in seminary. His name was Dr. Eugene Borowitz, blessed memory. And he used to take the train from Grand Central Station down to West 4th Street where the seminary was. And while he was on that 6th train, he would look at every individual within the subway and say to himself the words, B'Tselem Elohim. Each one of them is created in the image of God. Each one of you is created in the image of God. When we begin to look at each other as the divine sparks that we are able to separate and move past our differences. It is not about truth or faith, but about a simple human idea of dignity, that each of us, created in God's image, and that each of us has the ability to act as holy. I have personally seen some of the ways that determination to see that holy spark in one another, despite surface differences, has borne gorgeous and necessary fruit in the amazing work that has happened in my congregation and is happening in this room right now. As mentioned just the other night, Dr. Ali and his community were invited to join with Reverend Carla Guzman of the Episcopalian Church community, as well as the Road of Shalom community and our illustrious leader, Rabbi Robert Levine. Together we commemorated the ritual of Havdalah, and Havdalah is the ritual of distinction, in which Jews acknowledge the difference between Shabbat and the rest of the week. Within this ritual, the three clergy leaders were asked to reflect on how each faith tradition understands the importance of interfaith dialogue. I can only speak for the Jew when I say that much of our understanding of the importance of this work is born out of the idea that we were once strangers in the land of Egypt, that we were once the other. It is a major philosophical concept within Jewish life that we repeat each and every time that we pray, that because we were once the other, it is our sacred responsibility and duty to reach out and engage with the other. Though we might not always agree on what is the truthful principle of our faith, we can agree and find common ground, that if we do join together to address the injustices in the world, we can stand together on the same side of justice. We can work collectively to make this world a better place for all of us. In Hebrew, the word for responsibility is achrayut, from the word acher, meaning the other. It is about the willingness to move beyond our small self and to enter into the sphere of another. And when we do that, we find not only can we make change, but that we are changed. The transformation isn't just over there. It is within each of us. It is between all of us. We've seen the way this effort does not just open up individual relationships, but also creates tremendous healing on a communal and even global level, and shows us what a more unified society might actually look like. Though I know you are at the beginning stage of this work, Jews have been engaging with other faiths and traditions for many years. For example, in the 1960s, rabbis and black preachers marched throughout Selma, Alabama, in response to racism and segregation. Though Jews and blacks have not always seen eye to eye, we find common ground in the understanding that within each of us is a sacred spark, and that each of us is responsible to the other. We proudly stood with Martin Luther King and marched on Washington, D.C. This is the greatest example of what can be accomplished when we work together for the common good of each other. Now in the Torah, following the death of Abraham, his two sons came together, Isaac and Ishmael. They came together to bury their father. Though they clearly had their differences, there is no greater example of men putting that aside and coming together for a common goal, the higher goal of laying their father to rest. I believe now more than ever, as the past week of political upheaval has shown us, we need friends and partners who will stand together in the face of hatred and bigotry. We need to be like the two sons of Abraham, to come together for the cause of Ve'ahavta l're'echa kamocha, to love your neighbor as yourself. We must come together and work together as friends and partners. This is our sacred task. This is our sacred responsibility. As we have been taught, seek partners in this work, and you and your community will be strengthened by it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.